Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different to what I usually do, and I am going to repaint this toy Iron Man that I bought from Toys R Us for $60. Now this is the 12-inch or 30 centimeters worth of figure in the Marvel Legends series. And as you can see, the sculpt on it is quite good. It's just the paint is non-existent. It's the plastic is the only thing there. But as you can see, it's really translucent. So it looks very fake. I mean, if you look at that metal, it's just great paint. And it just doesn't look nice at all. So I'm going to repaint it and hopefully have it look like a maybe a $300 figure. And there's just a few simple steps, and anyone can do this. There's not a lot to it. So up front, this cost me $60 for the toy and about $30 of paint. So not that much. We're looking at about 90 to 100, 110 if you've got to buy brushes and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's really simple, and the effect is great. So let's get into the video, and we'll start with basically what you want to do is you want to take as much of the figure apart as possible. And I managed to get this apart. The body is not in this shot because I couldn't fit it on here and spray it. But what I did was I primed every single part with a flat grey and got a very even coat. Once that was dry, I came over with a red gloss. Now all of the exact paint names will be in the description box below. But all I'm doing here is just giving it a nice even coat. I am going to battle wear this Iron Man, but at the moment I'm going for a completely brand new suit. I want this paint as even as possible, so long, even strokes is preferable. I'm doing all the pieces at once, all sides, and yeah, getting it as even as possible. And what you really want to do is leave that to dry for 24 hours before you touch it, and you'll end up with something like this. A nice, reflective, glossy surface that looks completely smooth. And that's what you're aiming for. Like I said, I will battle harden and make this look like it's been in a battle later on, but at the moment we're aiming for that pristine look. So once you've finished that, you can tape up the figures and start repainting in the gold. I'm using a metallic gold here, and I'm doing his faceplate, doing nice, even, long strokes. You will have to do 2 coats though. I did anyway with this particular paint. There were some parts of the red that would come through and it just didn't look nice enough. So I did have to go over everything with 2 coats. But it doesn't take that long. Fortunately for this figure, there isn't a lot of gold and most of it's big areas, so it was pretty easy. There was a few little minor areas I used a very fine brush for, but most of it is just using a standard modeling brush and that gold paint. There is some brush steel as well, and there was a little bit of fiddling around. But once you've finished, let that dry as well, and you should have something that looks like this. Again, we're going for pristine at the moment. And now we're going to muck it all up. So what I'm doing here is a thing called weathering. And that is, what I'm painting on is just a black acrylic paint that I've watered down, so it's basically black water. And I'm painting that all over the surfaces, and what that's going to do is it's going to seep into all the cracks and all the crevices, and then we're going to wipe it off with a paper towel. And what it'll do is it will leave a little bit of that residue on the surface and make it look a little bit dirty, but a lot will stay in those cracks. You know, if you think about Iron Man or anything in particular, if it's outside a lot, those cracks are the first things to fill with gunk, so that's what we're trying to simulate here. So we're just wiping it on. I'm avoiding his eyes. I want his eyes to be white, which they were painted with a white acrylic. I couldn't put LEDs in this. The head was solid, and I couldn't actually split it apart, and I risked damaging it. And yeah, I just didn't think it was worth damaging the piece just for the LED lights. The white looks pretty good. So as you can see, I'm now wiping it off. You can wipe off as much or as little as you want. For something like his head, I thought, well, it's not going to get that dirty. I mean, I'm going to show you his hands in a second, and they're going to be touching things, punching things, shooting, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to get dirtier than his head. But as you can see, there is residue in those areas there, and it does look like it's been worn and actually used. So just wiping off a little bit more, and you can, like I said, wipe off as much as you want or as little. Now his hands, I'm going over with a thicker coat. It's the exact same solution, but I'm making them basically all black because I want them really dirty. I mean, you go outside and do stuff with your hands, they're going to get dirty instantly. Your face, not so much. So I've put that on. Now I'm going to get the paper towel, same paper towels I used for the head, and I'm going to wipe it off. Now it was so runny that it got stuck all in between the fingers and it didn't look that great, so I am just pulling it out there. Another piece of advice I can give you with weathering is change the paper towel regularly, because what will happen is it'll soak up a lot of that black, and then when you go to do another piece, you'll wipe over it and you'll just wipe on just as much paint as you wiped off. So change that paper towel, as I changed it every 2 or 3 pieces. So still just getting it out in between the fingers, making it look nice, and that's the finished product. It looks dirty, it looks like it's been used. It's the look that I was going for. So once that's done, I've basically now getting that silver, the brush steel, and I'm dry brushing. Now I'll explain what dry brushing is a little bit later in a demo, but what I'm doing is I'm dry brushing on some chips in his armor, like he's actually used it, he's taken a hit, he's fallen over, whatever. But I'm making that red paint and the yellow sort of look like it's been chipped off. Once I've done that, I've done an entire acrylic gloss coat over the top and let that dry. So now we're on to the base. So basically I got a scrap bit of MDF. I borrowed a piece of china from my fiance's china drawer. Don't tell her that I did that. And I'm tracing around it. I wanted an oval base, and that was about the right size. Now I'm just cutting that out with a jigsaw, and as you can see, I'm wearing a respirator. MDF is nasty stuff, guys, so if you are going to do that, please wear a respirator. You do not want that in your lungs. Even if you're outside, that dust is really, really fine from a jigsaw. Just take your time with the jigsaw also, and then once you're done, I gave it a quick sand and I rolled the top end over with a rollover bit on a router. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. I thought it looks nicer. It looked a bit sharp and just not as nice, so just rolling that top end over. Once that's done, I am going to paint it. Now I was aiming for like a battle scene in suburbia, so I figured I wanted him on concrete. So what I did was I took the same primer that I primed the suit in, and I evenly applied that to the base, and that's a really great base color for concrete because it's grey. Concrete is grey. So I'm just going for that nice smooth look at this stage. We will weather this as well, but again going for that pristine smooth grey so we don't get any wood color coming through. Once you're finished with that, you just let it dry. Once it's dry, we're going to weather it. So that's literally PVA glue and dirt from my backyard. So what I'm doing there is I'm going to mix that dirt in with that PVA glue, and the colors will mix together, and what I'm aiming for here is a grey. Brown and white will turn into grey when it's dirt in this PVA glue. You just need to keep adding dirt until you're happy with the color. It's going to get incredibly thick. It's probably going to munch that brush up, so use a brush you don't care about either, guys, as well, because that brush is not savable after this pretty much. So we'll just keep mixing till it's the color that I want and it's even. You're not going to get any white streaks through it. And once you're happy with all that, you literally just slap it onto the base. This is not something that you need to be accurate about. It's battle-worn concrete, so there's going to be scuff marks everywhere. So literally just slap it on in any old way and keep working it around until you're happy. So I was aiming for a complete coverage of at least the top. So you can see that the dirt is coming through, so it looks worn. It's a nice color. It's got some nice texture. There's some shadowing there in the right light. We are going to add some more fake shadows and some battle marks, like guns have gone off and blast marks and all that kind of stuff. But at this stage, just get this the way that you want it. So once that's done, I decided that I wanted to add a little bit more bigger material onto there, so like blown up concrete blocks. So I literally got a blunt knife and just hacked apart a little bit of packing styrofoam. You don't have to be neat about this, just make shapes you're happy with. And now I'm priming it. Now I'm not priming it for the reason that you'd think. What I'm actually doing is this particular primer, which is a Dulux primer, it's actually eating away that styrofoam. It's taking those top layers off. As you can see on that top right bit there, it's starting to work. It's starting to make that more weathered and disgusting, like it's been blown up, because those edges are way too clean, and it doesn't look natural in terms of blown up concrete anyway. So yeah, I'm just spraying on as much as I need to get the desired effect. Now if you can't find a primer that will do this, acetone does the exact same thing. So it's about 50 times stronger though, so use that with caution. if you put it straight on there, it'll literally eat through the entire bit of styrofoam. So what you want to do is get the acetone, put it on like a paper towel or a cloth, and just quickly wipe it over the surface. And what you'll see is it'll start taking the same layers away as well. I like this way better, personally, because I have more control. I can sort of stop at any time, and it won't keep really eating that much, whereas acetone, if you go too far, there's no coming back because you're not going to have any material left and you'll have to start over. So as you can see here, I almost went too far with that, and it started to come apart. So I just stopped and it was fine. So I'm just going to continue going on this, spraying away until I'm happy with the desired effect, and then we'll let that just get tacky dry. So once that's dry, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spray paint it with the exact same primer that I've based everything else in, because it's that nice concrete color. And as a side effect of this primer, I actually found out it also eats the concrete, but it also does something weird to it. It turns the styrofoam sucks up the primer and turns into this really sticky mess, like a sponge. And I thought that I'd probably gone too far and I'd have to start over, but I just let it dry and it actually turned out perfect and rock hard. So yeah, again, the primer I used will be in the description box if you want to use the same one. It actually turned out really well. And as a happy side effect of that, what I could actually do was I could stick these parts together because they became so sticky and tacky. I sort of glued a couple of bits together and it literally fused them. I also saw on the back there that wasn't the look I was going for, so I've just sprayed it a bit more to eat a little bit more away and sort of give it a different texture. And just giving them a somewhat even coat. Doesn't have to be perfect because the white just provides a little bit of different contrast to it. And yeah, but mainly grey. And as you can see there, I've just stuck them together and they literally fuse together. To pull them apart, you'd break the two bits of styrofoam. And I'm going to do the same thing here. So once you've done that, leave that to dry, and while that's drying, you can go back to your actual base and we can texture it. So this is the dry brushing that I used on the scratches on the Iron Man suit. So what you do is you load up your brush with, this is black acrylic paint, but any color really, depends on what you're doing. But here we're going to use black, and then you're going to wipe most of it off. So you can see there that there's less and less and less, and what you're aiming for is when you're swiping down on that bit of paper, see those last streaks there where there's lots of white, more white than black? That's what you're aiming for. You only want a little tiny bit on there. And what we're going to do here is just scrape the surface. We don't want to push this in, we just want to scrape and just touch those edges of that texture. And what it's going to do is it's going to pick up some scorch marks, and it's going to sort of give some shadows on that concrete. So all I'm going to do now is just keep going until I'm happy with the base, but it's the same thing as those slight little side to side movements with a little bit of dabbing. So once you're happy with your piece of concrete, you can then go back to your styrofoam blocks, which hopefully will be dry. And what we're going to do is the exact same method. I'm going to get that bit of concrete and I'm going to do the exact same dry brush technique. A little bit harder, but not too much. And just try and get into those little holes a little bit, and we're basically giving the impression that this has been blown up. There's scorch marks as well, but it's also shadowing, and it's just making those bits of concrete a little bit more interesting to look at. So once you've done that to all your bits of concrete, you can go over it with another color as well, brown, red, whatever you want to make your concrete look interesting. I just stayed with the black because I was quite happy with the result that came out. You can glue it all down. I just used straight super glue for the styrofoam, and then I epoxied Iron Man into place with a 2-part epoxy so he's permanently fixed to that base. And with that being said, it's time to reveal the finished product. So that's the whole video, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, please hit that subscribe button and the little notify tick box so you get a notification when I upload a new video. I do anything from this kind of stuff to 3D printing. You can check out my Zenyatta orb. That's completely 3D printed. And if you think I've deserved it, please share this with your friends. I'd love to get as many people watching this in the hope that they'll try it themselves. And if you do try this, please share the results with me. I love seeing everyone's end results. And that's everything I've got for you today, guys, so I'll catch you in the next video.